What's up, Raider Nation? This is the Violator, and you're watching the Raider Invasion podcast.
Hey, what's up? This is Raider Ty Brown, and you're listening to Raider Homer podcast radio show. What's up, Raider Homer? Raider Nation repping good.
Welcome back, Raider Nation. You are listening to the Raider Invasion podcast. I'm Raider Homer, and I have a special guest for you in this episode. Joining me is Black Widow Raiderette, my go-to source for Raider updates, hot takes, and she has a great new podcast called Widow's Webcast. Black Widow, it's a pleasure to have you on the Raider Invasion podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. This is a great honor. I really appreciate you inviting me to be on.
No problem. You've helped me out and showed me some support in the past, with your radio ID, and so it's great to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, before we get started, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the Widow's Webcast?
Yeah, so I have basically had a bunch of people that have actually requested me to get a podcast, and I've always had it in my mind to do one, but I never really acted on it until I started getting involved with my former podcast where I was teamed up with some other wonderful gentlemen. And unfortunately, that podcast, we decided to stop that, and I decided to go ahead and start my own because I was enjoying it so much. So it covers Raider news, a little bit of the paranormal, because I am proficient in the paranormal field. I've been doing that for 20 years. So I should be having one of those episodes come up here pretty soon, especially with us getting closer to Halloween.
That's cool. Yeah, the paranormal stuff is actually pretty cool. I like paranormal stuff. But let me ask you a quick question. So you edit your own podcast also, right?
I do everything by myself.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, putting together a script, getting everything scheduled, and then editing in post-production, So kudos to you. It sounds really good. I like the way that you make your cuts. They're smooth, and you're doing really well.
Well, thank you. Likewise.
All right, so make sure you check out Widow's Webcast, Raider Nation, and don't forget to subscribe to the Raider Homer channel on YouTube also. Now, you've been busy since we last saw each other at TNBC's second annual bash. Since then, you've been to Napa to see the Raiders at training camp. You got to taste wine with Charles Woodson. You went to Oakland for the first preseason game. You were also in the Black Hole for the first preseason game. I mean, you shared tons of great pics from that mini Raider vacation. So let's hear the story behind those pics.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I am truly blessed. My husband and I and a couple of friends, we went to one of Charles Woodson's events, and got to meet him and like you said, drink some of his wine. It was an absolute honor to meet him. And the fact that he knew who I was, it still to this day blows my mind. I walked up and I introduced myself, and he said, "Oh, you're Black Widow?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And I extended my hand, and he pulled me in for a hug. And I couldn't believe it. He was like, "Oh, well, it's nice to finally meet you." And it was so surreal. It was absolutely one of the best days of my life, other than getting married. And then I would say the best part outside of the Charles Woodson event, because I met, which I didn't know was going to happen, but I met a bunch of other football stars that night. But outside of that event, one of the coolest moments was before the Raiders game against the Rams. Abram actually came up and was giving us hand slaps before the game, because I just happened to be standing in the front row of the Black Hole. I actually didn't sit there during the game. I was a little further up.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he came up and he was giving us hand slaps and getting the crowd pumped up, and it was really, really cool to see him give back to Raider Nation. And Clint, and also Farrell actually came up and did the same thing, but he was on a different side, so I didn't get to get close to him. But Abram has a lot of love for Raider Nation, and he's shown that a lot on social media. So for him to come up and, you know, target our little area in the black hole, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I mean, that is really cool. All that weekend, you know, I love going on vacations like that. But, you know, I got to say, man, I'm kind of jealous of the Charles Woodson picture, you know. I did get my picture with Bo Jackson, but, you know, Charles Woodson was one of my favorites also. But that is great. That's awesome that he recognized you. It shows that all your hard work is paying off, you know. So kudos to you.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I don't think I'll ever get over that. Like, it still blows me away when I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, you got, even though you weren't sitting in the black hole, though, you got some great pictures out of there. You know,
I did.
Those were some great pictures. All right, so week 3 is upon us. You know that we're 1-1 coming off a loss to the Chiefs, and now we are preparing to face a tough defense in Minnesota. So what are your keys to the victory, or what are your keys to victory in Minnesota this week?
Oh, so I am really excited about Richie Incognito coming back. We've had some trouble. I mean, our line held up really great. The first game, the second game, it wasn't as good, but to have Richie Incognito, he's really going to open up the run game for Josh Jacobs. And from what I saw, he was actually practicing today, and he's been sick all week though. So I'm hoping he'll be 100% for the game. If not, then I'm sure he'll share the reps with Washington and Richard, or Richard might even be doing some of the punt returns and kickoff returns because of Harris being out.
Yeah.
So the run game is going to be really important. Their defense doesn't seem to be that great against the run from what I understand.
Right.
And also we've got to throw some long bombs down the field because it seemed to me that for whatever reason it was a little bit limited whenever we were playing the Chiefs. I'm not too familiar with each defense. I'm not going to, put up a front, but from what it seemed like, it was like we were super contained against the Chiefs, and I want to see some more long bombs, use Renfro in the slot more. I'd like to see him get some more action. Maybe even get Doss out there a little bit, see what he can do. And then our defense needs to also step up with our secondary. We contained the Chiefs after the second quarter, which was great, but it wasn't enough. So I'd like to see us be able to contain their run game also with our defensive line because they have some really good running backs there.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. You know, this game, to me, it's going to be a slugfest. You know, the two running backs, Jacobs and then the Minnesota Vikings running back, they're top 5 running backs so far in the league. Thankfully though, we have like one of the top 5. I think it's the number 1 run stopping defense, if I'm not wrong. But so I think that it's going to be a heavy run heavy game. And we need that because we don't want to keep our defense, we don't want our defense on the side on the field all the time. Of course, that's every game, But
right.
Jacobs he's proven himself valuable. After he held out at first I was a little skeptical, but he came in and he shut me up. You know what I mean? So yes, one of my keys to victory is the run game being solid. You're talking about the secondary, right? You got torched, and the same thing. You also mentioned that. It came together in the second half, So I'm thinking, the Vikings offense, the passing offense is not doing that well. So I'm thinking we'll bounce back in the secondary and we'll be able to stop the run and we should be able to pull off this win. But yes, as you also mentioned, they've only allowed like 16.5 points or something over 2 games. So I'm thinking, once they get in the red zone, they tighten up. So yeah, we do need to go deep. We do need to get the long scores, the long bomb going for us. That way we're not giving them a short field to defend. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I also have a little bit of a soft spot for Josh Jacobs. He went to high school here in my hometown, so he's been on my radar for quite some time. So when we got him in the draft, I was really happy about that.
Yeah, and he has a great story too. I mean,
He does.
that's really awesome that he went through all that and came out on top, and he has that kind of work ethic, and of course, living like that, I'm sure, is what gave him that work ethic. So yeah, he's a great story. I hope that he becomes the next great running back for us. We need it. We need a powerful run game, a strong run game to help Derek Carr. That let that play action kick in. That way we can go over the top. So hopefully Williams, man, is everything that he's been. For the first 2 weeks throughout his career. So this is it. This is the first game coming up of this shitty 6-week road trip. The NFL didn't do us any favors as per usual. But it is what it is, and here it is, right? Now, since we just went over the Vikings game, let's go ahead and look at the 5 games that are coming up. The Colts, the Bears, the Packers, the Texans, and the Lions. Each of them have offenses ranked 20th overall or lower, but, Houston and Detroit have a stingy defense. But I think that we're fairly matched up with all those teams on this road trip. And we have to bounce back after that embarrassing second quarter. So how do you see this road trip going as far as wins and losses?
Yeah, I agree that it is fairly even matched. We can definitely win all of those. The only one that I would say that we're going to probably struggle the most is against the Bears because we play them in London. And we do not have a good track record in London. Plus, I mean, it's just going to be a tough game. They seem to be a solid team. Maybe not as great as everyone thought they were going to be, but, that's the one out of all of those, that's the one that concerns me the most.
Well, Gruden, he said he's going to change it up this year. Like last year, they went, a couple days before the game, but this year they're going to go a week ahead of time. So hopefully that helps, because the Bears have to travel too. And like I just said, they have a terrible offense, but it's just a matter of whether we can stop Mac, because you would think that Mac's going to be inspired to, show the Raiders why they should have kept him. But
exactly.
That could be something that we'll have to hear about in the Raider Nation if Mac goes off on us,
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Even if he sacks Carr once, it's going to be all over the news about why we should have kept him. And I mean, the media likes to spin it every way that they can. So we'll see what happens.
So as we both know, traveling to events and games makes for great memories and great content for podcasting. And with that being said, are you traveling to any more games or events this season?
Actually, I am. I am going to the Houston. I'm actually going to the Texans game. My parents live out there, so I'm excited to be able to see them again this year. And we're going to go to a Texas A&M game. My dad played quarterback for them back in the 60s. So this is the second time that my dad and my husband and myself are going to go. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the Texans game will be the day after. And then I'm also going to at Chiefs because Arrowhead is very close to me. So we go to that almost every single year. I think since the year 2001, I've only missed going there twice. It's always a fun time there. People like to say, why would you want to go to Arrowhead? But I've made a bunch of friends there. The Chiefs fans are great. I have a lot of respect for most of them. There's always bad fans in every fan base.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've always had good experiences there. And, they'll talk shit with you and, say go back to Oakland, but then they'll invite you over for a beer and be a part of their tailgate. So I have a lot of respect for Chiefs fans. Now, as far as their team, can't stand their guts. But, I always say hate the team, never the fans, because we all have a love for the same sport. It's just we wear different colors.
Yeah.
And then I'm also going to the very last home game against the Jaguars. And man, that's going to be so emotional for me. As it will be for everybody, I think, because Oakland is home. I wish we were having a new stadium there, but at the same time, I'm excited for a new stadium in Vegas.
Right.
And we deserve that stadium. But, you know, I just really wish it was staying in Oakland because, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. But,
Oh, yeah.
you know, we deserve it. And I'm excited to go to Vegas next year as well.
Yeah, me too. You know, I'm looking forward to the draft and seeing the stadium. You know, you're right. The Raiders do deserve that kind of stadium. You know, that big, fantastic stadium. You know, it's just unfortunate that it wasn't built in Oakland because, you know,
Right.
I've been traveling to Oakland here recently and I've learned just how badass it is over there. You know, and, you know, that's awesome that you know, you've been over there a lot, you know, so I can definitely see how you would be so emotional, you know, because, man, it is something special. And I recommend to anybody listening right now to get to Oakland if you have not been there.
Yeah, just go. Even if you go to the tailgate, you know, get out there, go hang out with Raider Nation. There's nothing like a Raider tailgate. I've been to lots of stadiums, and maybe I'm just being biased, but just even like the outside looking in, like there's nothing like a Raider tailgate. It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah, you know, and speaking of tailgate, you know, you said you're coming to Houston, so I'm looking forward to tailgating with you in Houston. We'll be there with Space City Raider Nation, the Silver and Black of Central Texas, and the rest of Texas Raider Nation will be there with Space City Raider Nation. I think we're going to be in the blue lot. The year that we went to the playoffs, man, it went off, man. There was a great party the night before with Kenny King there, and Charlie Bluth showed up, you know, Gorilla. And then but unfortunately, though, the game didn't go well, but the tailgate was badass. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in Houston. And, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Yeah, and you invited me to this event going on in Kansas City. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so every year, we have a tailgate in Lot Inn. It should still be there this year. We're still working out the final details, but, it's usually about 200 Raider fans that show up every year, and, we hang out and we play music and we make it like a home tailgate because there's so many of us, and, it's always a lot of fun. I've been helping organize that for the last 6 years, and, this year is going to be just as fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to make it to Kansas City this year, but I will see you again in Oakland when the Jaguars show up, you know, so I'll be there for that also. I'm going to be podcasting there, you know, for Oaktown Legends. Hopefully you've been able to catch that. If you haven't, check it out. And, cause we got the Violator coming up this Saturday. So quick note, Raider Nation, if you got a picture with the Violator, send it to me in Messenger or post it to my page and I'll put it in the video of Oaktown Legends episode 2, which is Violator story. Because he was also there at the Chiefs game. So if you have a picture, Amanda, send it to me and I'll get it in that video.
I will.
So yeah, that'll be a great time over there. Hopefully, you know, we can set up and maybe podcast from that location or from Oakland together. You know, you never know. So food for thought.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So before I let you go, how is the Oklahoma Raider Nation doing?
Oh, we're doing great. We're going to start tailgating for a bunch of the games. We have a new spot. We meet up at Fox and Hound, and they allowed to let us tailgate before the games, outside, of course. And so we're going to do that and make sure our flags are flying high so people can see us. And we've got a really great setup over there. So we have a bunch of charity events that we're working on, and you know, I'm really happy to represent Oklahoma Raider Nation. I founded the club in 2003, and we've been going strong since then.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I ran into David Velasquez in Oakland week 1, opening weekend, man. It was cool to have a few drinks with him. I just keep running into that guy, you know. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So thank you so much, Widow. You know, I'm glad I could finally podcast with you. Yeah, and I hope to see you.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll see you out there in the nation.
Yes, for sure. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And hey, let the Raider Nation know how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Black Widow Raiderette. You can find me on Twitter at Grunge Raider. And you can also find me on Facebook under Amanda Bustos.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again.
All right, thank you so much.
And as always, Raider Nation, thanks for watching, and go Raiders.